Doesn't make any sense. Anyway, okay, we are way over. Oh, I didn't get to play the video, but anyway, thank you everybody for joining us, not only today, but throughout the week. We really appreciate your continuing support. Everyone who's signed up as a subscriber, those who've signed up as members, B1666ER, who's gifted all the memberships, and the other people that did. Super nice of you, and we really do appreciate that. I'm gonna be doing the first hour of the Young Turks later on today with Waz and Jank. Unless things change once again and Brett's there. It seems to be going back and forth. But anyway, it should be a lot of fun and I hope to see you there. For now though, stay safe out there, stay sane out there. We'll see you soon.
Welcome. It's indisputable. I'm your host, Rashad Ritchie. Good to be with you. We have a lot on the agenda today. Breaking down news of the day. None other than Yasmin Aliya Khan, Rebel HQ superstar and also host of Modern Context. Always fascinating to have her analysis. Top story of the day. A Black police captain tried to fix racism in the police department. The chief says, I can't do all that. Now he gets $1 million because he was demoted for saying something. Let's get into it. Put it up full mass. Hell of a saga here. The city of Seattle will now pay nearly $1 million to Eric Greening on the left, a police captain. He has rank, he has years, he has senior leadership accolades, but now he's getting a settlement. This $1 million was to settle a lawsuit in which he alleged that the city's police chief demoted him for reporting racism and discrimination. Greening, a 30-year veteran. Did you hear me? A 30-year veteran with the Seattle Police Department, sued the city and former police chief Adrian Diaz on the right. This was March 2024. Greening alleged that Diaz retaliated against him and reduced his rank after he reported race and gender discrimination within the department while he served in a command position. Diaz was fired last December by Mayor Bruce Harrell over an improper relationship with his chief of staff. There's more. According to the complaint cited by King 5 in the Seattle Times, Greening, who has been with the Seattle police force since 1994, joined the command staff as an assistant chief in 2017, where he sometimes served as acting chief. In 2021, he was tapped to lead the department's Race and Social Justice Initiative Change Team and the Collaborative Policing Bureau. These are community policing aspects. His new leadership positions made him responsible for reporting racism and gender bias within the police agency to Diaz and propose workable solutions according to the suit. So what do we have so far? In proper context, you have an individual who has significant service to one department. He has leadership, he has rank, likely has the respect of many colleagues, has been the acting chief on occasion. My point is they've trusted him, okay? The powers that be trusted him so much that when the city needed to figure out a public relations solution to the separation between cop and community due to the extreme racism permeating from the department, they tapped him. They tapped his leadership. Guess what he does? His job. His job is to report racism, sexism, etc., to the police chief. The police chief is supposed to work out a plan, a protocol, a remedy, a strategy to address these issues. But instead, the police chief went another route. Here it is. So Greening raised several concerns to the chief after observing that the community outreach responsibilities and work regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion were often assigned to women and minority members of the department. He noted that white commanders, civilian executive directors, and other assistant chiefs were, quote, being absolved of any responsibility to connect with community members in a non-enforcement capacity, according to the suit. I have to tell you, this is one of the most practical arguments I've heard a police leader make. He's simply saying, if you want the department to transform its culture, you can't simply put Black people in the position of community outreach. You can't simply put women only in the position of community outreach. Let's be very clear. The issue was not and is not led by women in that department. If you go pound for pound, you will see white males are your strongest violators across the board. We're talking about policing and misconduct as it relates to racism, okay? He's saying everybody needs to have skin in the game in order for the culture to transform. Beautiful point, well said, and it's documented. There's more. He also alleged that Chief Diaz excluded women and BIPOC command personnel from decision-making processes, circumvented Black supervisors to make requests directly of their subordinates, and allowed white lieutenants to bypass collaborative policing bureau leadership, which included Greening and other people of color. So on top of all of this, according to the allegation, Chief Diaz doesn't communicate with Black command. He communicates with the subordinates as if command, that happens to be Black, is not worthy of his acknowledgement. There's more. Greening discussed these concerns with the chief in 2022. This was January. Gave him a copy of the continuum on becoming an anti-racist, multicultural organization. Diaz only responded with something along the lines of, quote, "I can't fix all this," according to the complaint. Then in early 2023, the police department began the search for a new deputy chief and assistant chief. At the time, Chief Diaz required all current assistant chiefs to reapply for their roles. Greening said when he reapplied, he was only given a perfunctory interview before being demoted to the rank of captain and placed in charge of the force review unit, which came to an almost $30,000 pay decrease. Greening said Diaz abolished the Collaborative Policing Bureau after his demotion. Now, this is an internal issue, right? But it's not just an employment issue. Understand that if you are willing to show this kind of bias and corruption internally, you are likely also covering it externally as well. From bad leadership, you cannot produce good policy, protocol, and citizen protection. In addition to that, you now have a defunding apparatus for the police. Here it comes. So the city settlement. The city settlement with Greening awards him $638,000, and his attorney gets a cool $312,000. The agreement dictates that Greening must remain on paid leave until a required resignation date of February 1st, 2026. Once again, defunding by way of police misconduct. The chief, he will receive a retirement plaque and a letter thanking him for his service once he resigns. The settlement is not an admission of wrongdoing, according to the narrative from the police department. He'll also receive $73,000 in back wages of his salary as assistant chief and $250,000 in non-economic compensation. His retirement ranking will be changed from police captain back to assistant chief. After his resignation, the city will pay him $65,000 in wage damages and an additional $250,000 in non-economic damages. The city, i.e. the police department, is literally paying for the privilege to be racist. They're literally paying for it. It's okay. So we'll just pay $1 million, okay? It is a horrible set of circumstances when a police department, which is a government agency, can believe that operating in such a negligent way, not listening to command, not honoring the so-called blue code or the blue wall or the blue line or whatever the hell it is. It seems as if it only becomes an issue of separation when we're talking about racism. all of a sudden everything is off the table. No protection for the cop. No, let's rally around our fellow brother or sister in blue. None of that happens. They rather pay this money than transform their culture. All right, Jasmine, thoughts here. Jasmine, thoughts here.
Yeah, what an amazing settlement. This is a cop who was actually trying to be that good apple in the police department that he was working in. One of those good apples that we keep hearing about, but we don't really see a whole lot of. But he was being that. The reason why people say things like ACAB is because those good cops they're supposed to try to make things better within their police departments, but we just don't see that happening as often as we would like for whatever reason. They're afraid to speak up. They don't think anything will get done, or they're afraid of retribution, which is what this cop ended up having to deal with. So here's the rare instance when that is what's trying to be done. He took the risk, and this is coming from a 30-year veteran, as he pointed out, very well respected within the police department that he had worked in, very well respected and known in his community. And if that guy could be taken down by the greater police forces, then it could happen to anybody. Police departments are gonna police department. That was clunky, but you get what I'm saying. So instead of taking this man seriously, someone who had been taken seriously up to that point, they just decided that it was easier to do nothing rather than to even try and do anything. And this is exactly what we're talking about. The rot runs so deep that even after these police departments acknowledge and understand the extent of the corruption and racism and sexism within the department, they still don't want to do anything about it because it's just too daunting. It's too much work. It can't be done. Why even bother? So just get rid of the guy who's making all the noise about it. I want to say good for the cop for getting his money, for getting his plaque, and for getting all of his recognition. He's also earning national recognition now because people like you, Dr. Richie, are talking about his story on your platform. But as I think you were alluding to, while $1 million is a significant payout to the cop, plus all of his back pay, et cetera, it's not a whole lot of money for the police department or the city to pay out, especially when the alternative is a cultural shift that they have made it very, very clear they're not even willing to attempt.
That's right. And the reason I say the culture is intact, basically, is because with all of those victories, this now back assistant chief received, the department still said there is no admission of wrongdoing. Without acknowledgement, there is no transformation possible. All right, we'll keep you updated if there's an update from that story. Well, here we go. LAPD, they shoot the wife of Weezer bassist who was defending her home. Put it at full mast. It's very sad. So Weezer bassist, Scott Schreiner's wife, was shot by LAPD on Monday as officers searched for hit and run suspects in her Los Angeles neighborhood. Jillian Lauren, 51, was treated for a non-life-threatening gunshot. This was at a local hospital after the incident, but later charged with attempted murder. That's according to LAPD. The information that has been released includes this. The episode started on Monday afternoon. This was about 3:25 p.m. when California Highway Patrol requested backup for investigating a 3-car hit and run. As traffic backed up on the 134 freeway, at least one suspect fled on foot. Witnesses told the local outlet KTLA News. Uniformed officers responded to the request for backup and established a perimeter in the nearby Eagle Rock community. While there, a woman exited her home holding a handgun, according to police. Officers ordered her, quote, to drop the handgun numerous times. However, she refused. That's according to a press release from LAPD, okay? So understand the source. Authorities allege the woman, later identified as Lauren, pointed the gun at officers, which is when they decided to fire on her. Once again, this is the alleged report. Lauren was able to run back into her house before returning shortly with the second woman, later identified as her babysitter. Police took both women into custody, transporting Lauren to a local hospital for treatment after determining she was not involved in the hit and run. So Lauren and her babysitter were released from police custody, although she was later absentee booked for attempted murder. Did you hear what I said? Absentee booked for attempted murder. But witnesses have highlighted a different part of the story. She couldn't see the police when they shot her, as she defended her home from possible intruders. That's what the witnesses say. So the wife of Weezer, Scott Schreiner, who was shot by cops, then charged with attempted murder, was merely trying to protect her kids from an intruder in her own yard. That's according to a neighbor who said she witnessed the actual shooting. The neighbor claimed Los Angeles Police Department officers failed to announce themselves, and she could not see them when they opened fire. And cops now more concerned with covering their tracks than catching the real bad guys. Quote, "It's not like she didn't have any reason to have a gun. The guy was there," end quote, said the neighbor who watched a stranger in a, quote, wife beater hop a fence into Jillian's yard. Quote, "None of us knew anything. She's home with her two kids," end quote. The neighbor told the Post, adding that she didn't notice Jillian was armed, but thought she was well within her rights to be. When rock wife Jillian saw the intruder, quote, she basically admonished him and said, "They're going to catch you," according to the witness, who did not want to be named. Here's another quote. "I hear about 6 gunshots in quick succession," end quote, the neighbor said. The neighbor goes on to say, "It went ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. There was just them firing upon her," end quote. The LAPD did not respond to a request for comment. She was released from the hospital Wednesday and then released from the jail after posting a $1 million bond. Schreiner offered an update on his wife yesterday, saying, quote, "She's all right. Thank you for asking," the 59-year-old told the outlet of his wife while walking for her dogs, adding, "See you at Coachella." It's a great way to advertise, I guess. Sources confirmed the band would still be performing this weekend. This is a hell of a thing. This is a hell of a thing. So the witness, who happens to be the neighbor, sees the whole thing, understands the context, and the context is clear. Nobody believes that all of a sudden, this individual who was minding an individual's business wanted to suddenly commit homicide against the police. No provocation, no interaction. She was actually protecting the home. Now, obviously, this is common sense here, okay? She has the right to bear arms. She's on the property. She has children in the household. To me, this is a stand-up person in an awkward and dangerous situation. Police misread the situation. Fire upon her. Thank God she's still alive. But afterwards, decides to do what? Afterwards, they decide to absentee book someone for a crime they know good and damn well was never committed. And here's why. I believe it's a bad faith arrest. If the police believe somebody attempted to murder them, you would have SWAT, helicopters, no-knock warrants. It would be hell. There's no absentee booking. All right. Yes, some thoughts.
This story, when I first read it, I think it was yesterday when it first came out, it was confusing. Admittedly, I just skimmed it, but I just clicked on the headline because Weezer was in it. But like, wow, this story to me exemplifies the fact that justice, as it is practiced in the world, or in this country today, I should say, is fickle. And sometimes it's just dumb, as in it's lacking in common sense. We can read and understand what actually happened here. It was a very sad misunderstanding, one that unfortunately involved a deadly weapon. Thankfully, the woman was only injured and she wasn't killed. But yet, this woman who is obviously just protecting her home, the home that she was right to believe was under threat, this woman gets shot and then is absentee booked for attempted murder. Like, are you joking? This is why it's so hard for people to respect cops and police work, because while there are those cops who are doing their best to do well at their jobs and serve and protect their communities, just like the cop we just covered in the last story, you hear too many stories like this one. Frankly, one of these stories is too many. There's just too many stories where cops are acting foolishly because they can, or because they're scared of the consequences against them for their own actions. We keep hearing about how brave you have to be a cop. But all I see here in this story is cowardice from those cops. Bravery encompasses more than just running after bad guys with a deadly weapon. It also means owning up to your own mistakes and not destroying other people's lives just because you're scared that you're going to get in some trouble.
There you go. Well said. We will bring updates as they come. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
I went to Kentucky Fried Chicken when I first got my license, like 17 years old or 17, 18, whatever it was. And I'm driving, I think, my dad's Oldsmobile. And I parked it in a place where there was two cars next to me, really tight spot, and a car behind me. I don't even know how I got in there because I'm a terrible driver. Back then I was an even worse driver. And on the roads I'm okay, but in parking spots I have terrible spatial reasoning and I'm a mess. And on my way out, I hit all three cars at once. I broke all records, okay? So I went, as I'm backing out, I went boom, oh and this side hit that car, this side hit this car, and the back hit the third car, okay? And I got stuck. I didn't know how to get out. Like, I went, okay, for this, and then I'm like, no, and then, right? And then finally I had to stop, go inside the KFC and go, I'm sorry, I hit a bunch of your cars. They're like, what do you mean a bunch of your cars? I'm like, I don't know.
Wow, there's a B?
Yeah, I'm like, I hit 3 cars. I don't know, so you guys gotta come help me, okay? Okay, so one, my bad, really sorry about that. Yeah. Okay, number 2, can someone take my car out? Because I don't wanna keep hitting your cars and I'm incapable of taking it out of this spot.
Now baby, move that fat, baby, move that fat.
Hi, I'm Brett Ehrlich with breaking news with Brett Ehrlich. This is breaking news with Brett Ehrlich. Hi, Brett Ehrlich here. According to EPA head Scott Pruitt, climate change is not happening. He cited a meme on Facebook he saw. When pressed to back up this source, he said it must be accurate because the watermark said it was made by a scientist. So, your move, Truth.
At TYT, our mission is to boldly pursue truth, challenge the establishment, and drive positive change. At a time when corporate capture of our media, our government, and our politics is nearly absolute, everyday working people need a champion to fight for them and to push back against the powerful interests that threaten our democracy itself. At TYT, we're proudly progressive and call out corruption and duplicity wherever we see it, from Republicans, Democrats, or anyone else. And unlike mainstream news media outlets, we're not beholden to corporate advertisers, to defense contractors, to Wall Street, or to Big Pharma. We only have to answer to our audience, and for nearly 2 decades, we've accomplished that by delivering honest, timely, and insightful perspectives on the day's news without fear or favor or concern for whose toes we might step on or which powerful elites we might offend. And while we're super serious about the news, we also manage to do it in a way that is fun and lighthearted. We can do this together and serve our audience, and yes, have fun doing it.
demotion. You are much needed.
TYT, TYT.
The place is like 95% TYT army.
You guys, the Young Turks, which is my favorite channel, we're getting that message out.
Tank and the Young Turks do an extraordinarily good job.
No matter what mainstream media says, you have to listen to the Young Turks.
The people who support us on the internet, that's what gives us strength. That's what allows anyone who was in there who was undecided to think one side seems to be winning. They seem to have a bigger army. There might be a reason for that. So thank you guys.
All right, welcome back. Always good to be with you. Let me read a few of the comments. Okay. Yep. The political Gemini, if demoting a black police chief for reporting racism and discrimination, as was his job, doesn't underline the issue at hand, I don't know what does. You are so right. It hits the issue straight bullseye, right? Also, the Horseman 1981, police defunding themselves. That's correct. King Rowe III, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon back to you. All right, well, here we go. So MAGA has been spreading false rumors of Jasmine Crockett, member of Congress, saying that she committed fraud. Completely untrue. We got the information here for you in case you care about facts, all right? But first, this.
The problem is that Americans thought that it was okay to take a full-fledged criminal and make him the president of the United States, and then they want to act aghast when he does criminal things. Let me tell you, we have a thug in charge of the United States. Stop trying to act as if only white men are the ones that are capable. The coddling is for the white boys. That's what's happening right now. I am tired of the white tears. Listen, if you are competent, you are not concerned. When I walk into Congress every single day, you know why I don't feel a way and why you can't make me doubt who I am? Is because I know that I had to work 10 times as hard as they did just to get into the seat. When you look and you compare me to Marjorie Taylor Greene or me to Lauren Boebert, there is no comparison. And that is the life that we have always lived. So the only people that are crying are the mediocre white boys that have been beaten out by people that historically have had to work so much harder.
If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
We in these hot ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now.
MAGA is clutching their pearls. They literally voted for a 30-plus time felon who admitted on tape a while ago to doing things against women as he pleases. But all of a sudden, Ms. Crockett is the issue, according to their rumor. She has been committing fraud. Put her up full mask. Let's go down the fact list here. So, Democratic Representative Jasmine Crockett was forced on Tuesday to rebut a fresh new smear campaign by members of MAGA against her character. The latest false rumor is that she pocketed her dead grandmother's Social Security checks. I mean, this thing is blazing on social media. All right, if you Google her name, if you put her name on X, this is the first thing that comes up. The allegation was birthed last Friday. Snopes.com, all right, discovered when America's Last Line of Defense Facebook page posted an image showing a photo of the Congresswoman superimposed over the grave of a person with the maiden name of Crockett. The post read, quote, Jasmine Crockett's Doge audit isn't going well for her. The woman who claims Elon Musk is scamming the people has been conveniently overlooking her dead grandmother's Social Security checks for 13 years. They go into her bank account as a representative payee to a dead woman. Once again, the culprit is the person screaming that the auditor is at fault for their fraud. The page's owner added this comment under the post, quote, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is in hot water after a shocking revelation that she has allegedly been collecting $2,600 a month in Social Security payments for her late grandmother, who has been inconveniently, for her defense, dead since 2012. When confronted, Crockett reportedly shrugged and said, oops. These are some creative, inventive, imaginative individuals. They have come up with an entire storyline, like a script. They took time, wrote a narrative, provided context for the narrative, put graphics together, made up names. Indisputable, exclusive, disputable, exclusive. We brought you this first. No other news agency has this video. No other news agency has this story.
Every week on Indisputable, we do original, exclusive, investigative reporting you'll find nowhere else.
Our reports have been viewed by millions. Hosted by Sean King, Ben Crump, Senator John Ossoff.
You, through your investigative reporting, unearthed very troubling allegations about specific forms of abuse and discrimination in the federal prison system.
We catching these cases on camera. Just imagine the things that we don't see.
Our groundbreaking investigations and exclusive interviews bring you the real voices no one else wants you to hear. We tell the stories.
Imagine a prison that is so racist, the corrections officers contact me. That is a life or death situation being created. A black woman who was driving for Uber was allegedly assaulted by a white male passenger. After we got involved, roughly 24 hours later, the police all of a sudden opened up an investigation. What was going through your mind when bullets were simply flying inside of your vehicle?
Honestly, I thought I was going to die.
Did these officers ever say that you fit the description of somebody they were looking for? Did they say that?
Never.
Okay, that means they lied.
And we want you to be part of our truth-telling movement. Send pictures and video of stories no one else is telling and a 1 or 2 paragraph summary of the story to Indisputable's exclusive tip line at indvideos@tyt.com.
If you have more information about what's happening at this particular facility, please let me know.
Together, we're challenging the system, and together, we're making a difference.
I have the entire background to this story, and it is going to make your blood boil.
Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie, unveiling the truth, empowering the people. Weekdays at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Pacific.
All right, welcome back. My apologies for the tech delay. So MAGA decided to engage in this smear campaign. Very successful, by the way, on social media. They like to lie, especially to their followers. So Snopes, a highly regarded fact-checking website, got involved, looked into the claim, and found no evidence of Crockett illegally collecting someone else's Social Security checks in an article titled, quote, "No, Representative Jasmine Crockett didn't collect dead grandmother's Social Security checks." But while Snopes did its due diligence, MAGA did not. They never do, okay? A search of Jasmine Crockett grandmother on X turned up a slew of posts, most of which repeat the rumor all over again. The first hint that something was amiss came when Snopes uncovered the archived bio for the America's Last Line of Defense Facebook page, which reads, quote, "The flagship of the ALLOD network of trollery and propaganda for cash. Nothing on this page is real," end quote. Snopes also located an obituary for the woman whose tombstone appears in the Facebook post. Of the many family members of the deceased, none were named Jasmine. Crockett addressed the rumor on X posting, breaking news, MAGA finally loves me. I never thought this day would come, but here we are. I hate to break their hearts by telling them the truth, but I'm a truth teller, so the love affair will end. You see, the latest lie is to do with a random woman who definitely is not one of my dearly departed grandmothers. MAGA fell in love because the lie is that, much like their fearless leader, it was alleged that I too am a criminal. But I'm not. I get 0 SSI checks and no grandmother of mine carried the name Crockett. Get the out of here. She knows how to transmute negative energy, utilize it as a catalyst for her continued progress. Some people do that intentionally. Hopefully you are among them. I try to be among them myself. Well done, Congresswoman. Very well done. I do find it convenient that the place where the propaganda is the most shared happens to be on a platform owned by soon-to-be ousted President Elon Musk. That's possible.
Jasmine Crockett. Okay, at this point, if Republicans are accusing Jasmine Crockett of fraud, of stealing these Social Security checks, I'm just going to assume that some of them are the ones actually stealing Social Security checks, because we know by now that so many of their accusations are actually confessions. Also, this looks really good for Jasmine Crockett, I think. They're really going out of their way to make her look bad. They're obviously worried about her, and they obviously know that her message is resonating with a lot of people. When they tried to cancel her over the Hot Wheels comment, I had to roll my eyes. Let me just tell all of y'all, as a Texan, Jasmine Crockett is not the first person to have called Greg Abbott Governor Hot Wheels. That is a very common nickname for him around these parts. Not a nice nickname, but she didn't come up with that. And people want to say that it's ableist, and Republicans want to make it seem like Jasmine Crockett now is ableist. It's actually a little bit facetious, because if anyone is ableist, it's Greg Abbott. As a disabled person, he made millions of dollars off of the accident that landed him in the wheelchair. And then once he got into office, he made it impossible for anyone else to do the same. So a disabled man made it more difficult for other people to be disabled in Texas, which is why a lot of people in Texas do not feel sorry for him for the fact that he's in a wheelchair. I'm getting a little bit off topic, sort of. Jasmine Crockett, she said it herself. They can't bring her down, because she knows who she is, and she knows how hard she had to work to get to where she is today. You simply cannot be a Black woman in Congress without being an absolute powerhouse, someone who hasn't been allowed to fake her way through anything, or someone who was given less grace for her failures. She didn't get there by accident. She got there because she had to work so much harder to get to that point. So whatever this is, Jasmine Crockett is not going to go down without a fight. And these Republicans, they're not ready for that fight. I wouldn't want to fight Jasmine Crockett either. But there's another aspect to all of this. The Republicans were able to sway more Black people away from the Democratic Party in 2024 than we've seen in a very, very long time. Part of the reason for that is, one, the Democrats have never understood that minority groups aren't monolithic. For another, the Democrats have taken these Black votes for granted for decades. But also, now they have this Black woman from the South who is speaking directly to these people, who is resonating with them. If the Republicans are worried, they should be.
Yeah, well said. And we will be reporting more on the good Congresswoman. All right. Got something for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off!
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Is it because you want people to ask you about the metal going through your nose? Why do you do it? I'm curious.
I got it when I was younger. Probably a little bit of a rebellious thing.
But it doesn't rebel against anyone.
No, at the time, I'm not trying to offend anybody.
I didn't. You keep jumping to these things.
No, you just.
I was curious to know why you did it. No one else cares. So you're not rebelling against anything.
Now you're like going back and forth. What is going on here?
You're not getting it.
I don't care how anybody feels.
So it was all about you.
100%. I don't even know who you are.
You still wear it. So you love it.
It seems to offend you.
No, you try to infer.
Your disposition is a little off right now.
Maybe that's your choice of interpretation.
Well, you asked me.
I asked a simple question,
and
so
I told
you love it.
But you never let me finish.
You never got to that. Am I going to break this up? No, I like to learn.
I don't think that there's anything to learn.
I'm just curious.
All right, what do you want to say? I want to give you the floor. Say whatever you feel like you need to say.
I do. I asked you a question, and you stated, you said you love this question.
You never said I love this question. And I said I'm ready to answer it because I have a camera on.
Yeah.
Right.
This
is all being filmed.
Good.
I am so damn authentically confused at the moment. Hopefully, our guest can help us make some sense of this. Put up the picture full mass. Seemingly, the Karen is secretly the nose ring police. Had no idea it was even illegal. And she goes around investigating individuals' reasons for having a nose ring. Now, she says some ironic comments. She says, no one else cares to know why you did it. No one else cares. Well, Karen, why do you care so much? What is this about? Are you upset you don't have one? You can just ask. I'm sure he'll tell you where you got it. All right, Yasmin, this is Karens are mutating. This is the first nose ring police Karen that we have come across at Indisputable. I'm not sure what to make of this. But it does show you that Karens have unlimited Karenicity.
It really is unlimited. It's like, God, I can't make sense of this. I don't know what her point is. I don't even know what she's asking. She doesn't even seem to know what she's asking this guy. The guy is also very confused. She wants to know why he got his nose pierced, but then she said that nobody cares why you got your nose pierced. She said it was I don't know. But then at the end, she said she likes to learn, even though she's the one doing most of the talking in the clip that we saw, at least. I don't know what's going on. I can't imagine going out in public and being so, I don't want to say triggered, but like just so involved in why one particular person is wearing a nose ring. That is so much work and energy. Like I would just look at someone and say, oh, they have a nose ring, and then like move on with my life. That would be the extent of it. You know, like it's very strange the things that people choose to spend their time and energy on in this world, in this life. Like do something else, lady. Literally anything else.
Yeah.
Maybe not literally anything else, but most other things.
Most. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. We got more on the other side. Indisputable. Stick and stay. Indisputable, exclusive, disputable, exclusive. We brought you this first. No other news agency has this video. No other news agency has this story.
Every week on Indisputable, we do original, exclusive, investigative reporting you'll find nowhere else.
Our reports have been viewed by millions. Hosted by Sean King, Ben Crump, Senator John Ossoff.
You, through your investigative reporting, unearthed very troubling allegations about specific forms of abuse and discrimination in the federal prison system.
We catching these cases on camera. Just imagine the things that we don't see.
Our groundbreaking investigations and exclusive interviews bring you the real voices no one else wants you to hear. We tell the stories.
Imagine a prison that is so racist, the corrections officers contact me. That is a life or death situation being created. A black woman who was driving for Uber was allegedly assaulted by a white male passenger. After we got involved, roughly 24 hours later, the police all of a sudden opened up an investigation. What was going through your mind when bullets were simply flying inside of your vehicle?
Honestly, I thought I was going to die.
Did these officers ever say that you fit the description of somebody they were looking for? Did they say that?
Never.
Okay, that means they lied.
And we want you to be part of our truth-telling movement. Send pictures and video of stories no one else is telling and a 1 or 2 paragraph summary of the story to Indisputable's exclusive tip line at indvideos@tyt.com.
If you have more information about what's happening at this particular facility, please let me know.
Together, we're challenging the system, and together, we're making a difference.
I have the entire background to this story, and it is going to make your blood boil.
Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie, unveiling the truth, empowering the people. Weekdays at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Pacific.
All right, welcome back. Got a lot of show left, and I'm going to read some comments. Thank you all for joining the conversation. Dex says, what's next? Calling the police on Jasmine Crockett for having a barbecue on a Sunday? I see what you did there. I like that. Also, Cray Souffle, my God, what a fighter. Dems have and never will appreciate one of their own that actually has a backbone. Bravo, and keep up the great work of scaring the crap out of Republicans, Representative Crockett. And yeah, Miss Cardio Queen, Jasmine is the best. That's right. And Scorpio's course. That's the kind of Democrat you want in Congress. We'll be seeing you too, I think. I wish all Dems were just like Jasmine. Well, they can be. They will be if certain people would understand the line of progression here. All right. The leadership protocol has to, at some point, hopefully step down, provide a pathway, and mentor for the greatest success of people and their advocacy. But that's not happening. All right. Well, here's what is happening. A violent J6 trespasser, okay, is now running for Congress. There it is. Put him up full mask. We told you this would happen. And another, where are they now update? Another violent rioter from the Jan 6 terrorist attack has some interesting plans for his future. This individual broke into the Capitol, is now announcing he's running for Congress in East Texas. Ryan Taylor Nichols, 34 years of age, delivered his announcement Wednesday to challenge Representative Nathaniel Morin's seat in Congress. He claimed, quote, I know what it feels like to have the full weight of the United States government on top of you, Nichols said in his announcement. As a pardoned January 6th defendant, I have faced that burden, and I can only imagine how the people of East Texas feel when Washington ignores us. But Washington did not ignore you, so you got the pardon for Washington. It was the president gave you a pardon. You seem like you're part of the swamp, so you're connected. You're an inside guy. It's amazing to me that individuals like him who get a pardon from the current president is connected to the party that got that said president in, will still claim to be an outsider. Let's talk about his involvement at the Capitol, okay? So an East Texas man broke into the U.S. Capitol. This was January 6, 2021. He stood on a window ledge Indisputable, exclusive, disputable, exclusive. We brought you this first. No other news agency has this video. No other news agency has this story.
Every week on Indisputable, we do original, exclusive, investigative reporting you'll find nowhere else.
Our reports have been viewed by millions. Hosted by Sean King, Ben Crump, Senator John Ossoff.
You, through your investigative reporting, unearthed very troubling allegations about specific forms of abuse and discrimination in the federal prison system.
We catching these cases on camera. Just imagine the things that we don't see.
Our groundbreaking investigations and exclusive interviews bring you the real voices no one else wants you to hear. We tell the stories.
Imagine a prison that is so racist, the corrections officers contact me. That is a life or death situation being created. A black woman who was driving for Uber was allegedly assaulted by a white male passenger. After we got involved, roughly 24 hours later, the police all of a sudden opened up an investigation. What was going through your mind when bullets were simply flying inside of your vehicle?
Honestly, I thought I was going to die.
Did these officers ever say that you fit the description of somebody they were looking for? Did they say that?
Never.
Okay, that means they lied.
And we want you to be part of our truth-telling movement. Send pictures and video of stories no one else is telling and a 1 or 2 paragraph summary of the story to Indisputable's exclusive tip line at indvideos@tyt.com.
If you have more information about what's happening at this particular facility, please let me know.
Together, we're challenging the system, and together, we're making a difference.
I have the entire background to this story, and it is going to make your blood boil.
Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie, unveiling the truth, empowering the people. Weekdays at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Pacific.
Welcome to the Damage Report. I'm John Idarola. This is gonna be a big one.
Meanwhile, in the Arctic, you know where this is going. You watch the Damage Report, the Arctic's on fire. Obviously, why would we be talking about the Arctic except to tell you that it's melting once again? The Republicans aren't that interested in it. I wonder why. Lift out of poverty up to 3.7 million people, including an estimated 1.3 million children. Hashtag save the children? Not if it costs money. I mean, come on.
Ring the bell on YouTube today. You know what it does? It actually rings the bell at my house. It's super annoying, but if you do it, it just keeps on ringing. Oh, plus you can find out when the show is live and whenever we have new clips. Ring the bell. Oh no, not again.
How would I look walking a dog on the White House lawn with
You know how much it costs you to start an account on tyt.com? Nothing. It's free. So you just go and register in about 2.5 seconds. Then you can chat with us during the show. We read those comments the most often. You chat with each other. Tons of people have become friends there. We're super interactive. We do a lot of polls for our paying members. We sometimes do polls that drive the direction of the show. So that's amazing. There's no other show that's this interactive. And our home base for that is tyt.com. Come join us right now.
When you were growing up, what did you want to be?
I think I was starting to think I don't want to do one thing, and I did live up to that.
Well, mission accomplished then, because Dave was a geologist.
Yeah.
And now he's, helped found the Young Turks. Even within TYT, you've done a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So if you want to do different things, you nailed it. All right, last story to end on is a Dave story. Whenever there was something like obvious, glaring, he would go up and ask them about it. Like, it'd be like a giant church, right? And somebody's standing in front of it. The usual Dave go, pull up right in front of him. You're like, hey, do you know where there's a church around here? And they're like, right here. It's right here.
Practical jokes. Spice up life a little.
We've been around for about 20 years and we have about 20 billion views. Am I proud of that? Hell yeah, I am. We put out 20 billion messages in a bottle. Have we helped to move now 2 generations, millennials and Gen Z, to become progressive? Yes, those numbers are real. We moved generations. Were we the only ones? Of course not. But we have been the largest online news show for now decades.
Hi, this is J.R. Jackson, host of The Young Turks. Sign up for an Apple subscription for $4.99 to listen to our show ad-free and get access to bonus content. Sign up when you search for the TYT channel on Apple Podcasts at apple.co/TYT.
Cool news, shoptyt.com now has books. There's a whole bunch of books there. You're gonna be shocked to find out that they're largely progressive. Of course! Ryan Grimm's book, We've Got People, is there. It's a fantastic story from Jesse Jackson to Bernie Sanders to AOC that explains the progressive movement probably better than any book I've ever read. Speaking of awesome books, my dad's got a book out called The Original Young Turk, where he goes from the poorest olive farmer you ever met in your life to living there.
Indisputable, exclusive, disputable, exclusive. We brought you this first. No other news agency has this video. No other news agency has this story.
Every week on Indisputable, we do original, exclusive, investigative reporting you'll find nowhere else.
Our reports have been viewed by millions. Hosted by Sean King, Ben Crump, Senator John Ossoff.
You, through your investigative reporting, unearthed very troubling allegations about specific forms of abuse and discrimination in the federal prison system.
We catching these cases on camera. Just imagine the things that we don't see.
Our groundbreaking investigations and exclusive interviews bring you the real voices no one else wants you to hear. We tell the stories.
Imagine a prison that is so racist, the corrections officers contact me. That is a life or death situation being created. A black woman who was driving for Uber was allegedly assaulted by a white male passenger. After we got involved, roughly 24 hours later, the police all of a sudden opened up an investigation. What was going through your mind when bullets were simply flying inside of your vehicle?
Honestly, I thought I was going to die.
Did these officers ever say that you fit the description of somebody they were looking for? Did they say that?
Never.
Okay, that means they lied.
And we want you to be part of our truth-telling movement. Send pictures and video of stories no one else is telling and a 1 or 2 paragraph summary of the story to Indisputable's exclusive tip line at indvideos@tyt.com.
If you have more information about what's happening at this particular facility, please let me know.
Together, we're challenging the system, and together, we're making a difference.
I have the entire background to this story, and it is going to make your blood boil.
Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie, unveiling the truth, empowering the people. Weekdays at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Pacific.
All right, welcome back. My sincere apologies for having some massive tech issues. Glad to be back with you. All right, so yeah, Trump has inspired actual criminals to run for Congress. He pardoned them. They are able to do so under the rules. And, well, you know, this guy came there with tactical gear. Yasmin, the man committed acts of violence, wore tactical gear while doing so, had a crowbar in his hand while breaking into a federal building. Now he's a candidate for the US Congress.
Yeah, I mean, look, we just talked about Jasmine Crockett and about how people in the South are finally getting representatives that they feel will actually represent them in Congress. Because let me tell you again, as your resident Texan TYT girly, this place and these people are so much more than what the rest of the country typically gets to see. There is incredible, like just an incredible amount of diversity here in Texas. If our representatives in government at the federal and even at the state level looked remotely like what our cities look like, the rest of the country would have a much different view of Texas and Texans. But all of that said, we still have people like this guy who aren't helping our national reputation or image. But I did say we are diverse down here, and this faction of Texans is a part of that diversity, as much as I may not like it. Look, there's so much that can be said about Texas politics, okay? Right now, most of Houston, the biggest and most diverse district in the state, is not represented in Congress because Representative Turner, unfortunately, he died unexpectedly. And instead of calling a special election like he's supposed to, Governor Abbott said that Houstonians won't be able to elect a new representative until November. So not for months. We're going to have all of these Houstonians, again, a very diverse group of Houstonians, of Texans, Democratic for the most part, who will not be represented in Congress until November. Now, our Harris County attorney and the frontrunner for Turner's seat, his name is Christian Menefee. He's getting ready to sue Abbott, not his first time doing so, by the way, for leaving all of these Houstonians without representation. Additionally, we have our Texas Attorney General, who has committed and gotten away with more crimes than any other attorney general in the country. And he's now challenging Republican Senator John Cornyn for his seat because Cornyn, according to Ken Paxton, is not Trumpy enough, okay? So I think Texas politics has been teetering on the edge of something for a long time, but more often than not, Democratic or liberal Texans, of which there are many, are disappointed. For example, there was some hope that we'd have a Democratic senator with Colin Allred last November because he was neck and neck with Ted Cruz in the polls in the months leading up to the election. But then on election night, and I'm not saying anything was off because I don't know anything that you guys don't, but Ted Cruz managed to pull out a huge win with a wider margin than he had been polling with, again, in months. So Texas is very strange. We're kind of on the precipice, especially with this Ken Paxton versus John Cornyn election that's about to happen. It's interesting because we're going to see the Texans and the Republican Texans have to decide if they want to side with the more Trumpy MAGA Republicans or if they want to go back to something somewhere closer to the middle, something that resembles some kind of just sensibility, right? Some kind of rationality, some kind of sanity, whatever they were used to before. Because there are a lot of Texans in Texas who vote Republican because they've always voted Republican, but they're not happy with the direction of the Republican Party. Races like this one, like we're about to see in East Texas, I think will also be a similar indicator of where Texans actually are falling on this Trump spectrum that we have within the Republican Party. So there's a lot going on down here. I had a lot of time to think about it, Dr. Richie, while you were dealing with your tech issues. So yes. I'll leave it there. But
great insight.
There's always something going on in Texas.
Absolutely. And leave it to a MAGA supporter to utilize a criminal act as a launching pad for a political campaign. Okay. Well, Donald Trump has plans to steal Greenland. It's ironic, though. Put it up for a mass. We have the information, okay? So a New York Times reporting, it says Trump's administration has crafted a formal plan to take control of Greenland. He's fascinated with this. Although the alleged plan currently does not involve using military force to seize the territory. It involves a crafted propaganda campaign. How the reported plan will work. So the Times reports that the Trump administration is crafting a propaganda campaign aimed at convincing Greenlanders that it would be in their best interest to join the United States. Quote, the U.S. messaging campaign will include an unlikely appeal to Greenlanders, shared heritage with the native people of Alaska, nearly 2,500 miles away. The Times sources says Greenland's Inuit population is descendant from people who migrated from Alaska hundreds of years ago. And the island's official language is derived from those dialects originated in Arctic Canada. Other ideas being kicked around by the administration include paying $10,000 to every Greenlander should they agree to join the United States. There's more. The Times notes that convincing Greenlanders to join the US will not be an easy task. However, given how incredibly unpopular the idea has proven with the people who are currently living there, a recent poll showed that 6% of Greenlanders approve of the idea. 85% said they were opposed. Got more sense than us. The Times added that should the propaganda campaign in Greenland fail to achieve its desired results, then, quote, it is possible that Mr. Trump would escalate his tactics. What? I'll put it up. Mediaite reports a U.S. Space Force colonel was removed from her position as commander of a space base in Greenland on Thursday after she disavowed Vice President J.D. Vance's remarks about acquiring the Danish territory. Why do we have a space base in Greenland? That's the actual question that I have. What is happening here? Okay. Space Operations Command announced on Thursday evening that Colonel Susanna Myers had been relieved of her command just hours after it was revealed. She sent out an email disavowing. I cannot believe this is real. Vance's following a visit by the vice president to the space base, she wrote, I spent the weekend thinking about Friday's visit by Vance, the actions taken, the words spoken, and how it must have affected each of you, wrote Myers in an email. Quote, I do not presume to understand current politics, but what I do know is the concerns of the U.S. administration discussed by Vice President Vance on Friday are not reflective of a thick space base. She concluded, quote, I commit that for as long as I'm lucky enough to lead this base, all of our flags will proudly fly together. So Scott Jennings and Tiffany Cross battled it over, CNN yesterday.
It's a colonizer's attitude to say, I like it, I'm just going to steal it. Now, the fact of the matter is, in this new land, you cannot just go and say, I like it, it's mine now. It doesn't work that way. Well, that is what they're trying to do. And in this new world order, yeah, absolutely. When they're looking at Greenland and say, I like it, I want to take it for mine, that is a very colonizing attitude.
I have never, ever said we're going to go to Greenland and, quote, colonize it or steal it.
You're not a member of government, so you're irrelevant at that point. I'm talking about the president of the United States doing that.
You got fired from your job.
If you want to engage in personal insults,
I don't, but you
what
do.
You lack in a legitimate point, you make up for it in personal insults. The point I am making is in this new world order, we are looking at countries, whether or not they're an adversary or ally, it is being determined on what kind of deal we can get. And we cannot govern, we cannot legislate that way. We are increasingly isolated on the world stage.
No, we're not.
So if
Okay. Everyone knows how I feel about the non-talented white male at CNN who continues to remain employed despite not having a damn thing brilliant to ever say, doesn't do a good job defending what cannot be defended. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about Greenland. They're not making plans. I mean, if they had this kind of energy to figure out how you can have a livable wage across the board, beautiful. If they were talking about how to bring down the cost of living, great. If they were discussing how you're going to get your Social Security checks on time, well done. They're talking about stealing Greenland. All right, Jasmine, thoughts?
Yeah, this is when Trump first started talking about Greenland. This is back during his first term in office. We all thought that is an insane thing for him to be saying. But the thing with Trump is that a lot of people didn't realize at the time. Some people still don't understand. The thing with Trump is that whenever he says something, he doesn't unsay it, right? He doesn't always forget about the things that he says, especially the things that he pursues for longer than like a day or two, right? Or sometimes he'll say, oh, remember that thing that I said? Let's go back to that. Things don't go away for him the way that we would like them to, unless he has some people around him who make the things go away for him. So Trump doesn't understand a world where he can't just buy the things that he wants, right? I mean, why wouldn't he think that he can just buy the things that he wants? We all just watched him buy an election with all of that Elon money, and they kept trying to do it in various races across the country up until like a few weeks ago. So also, the idea that Greenlanders will feel solidarity with the people of Alaska and then want to be in the same country as these people who are 2,500 miles away from them is crazy, because honestly, isn't it weird that Alaska is even a part of this country? I'm not talking about geopolitics, but just geographically. Wouldn't it make more sense geographically for Alaska to be independent or at least a part of Canada? Trump doesn't want to have that conversation, though. Also, I wonder if Trump is underestimating the people of Greenland. Americans are uneducated. That's proven, right? Most American adults read at a 6th grade level. Europeans are not uneducated. They understand history. They understand literature. They understand how to deal with people like Trump. They've been making fun of Trump for the last 10 years while we've, just kept putting him on our ballots. But as he pointed out, Trump has not offered the people of Greenland anything better or more than what they're already getting as a part of Europe. So we're going to have to see how this plays out. I don't think he's going to drop it. We know that he has ulterior motives for wanting to get Greenland. We know that this is probably the tech guys like Elon who are behind this push. But yeah, and it is colonization because they want Greenland for its resources. They don't care about the people. They don't care about, the strategic positioning of it. They want it so they can usurp it.
That's right. And while racism exists everywhere, you don't have the same fascination with white supremacy in Greenland that you have in America. All right, Yasmin, always a pleasure having you on the program. Tell people how they can follow you, check out your great work.
Yeah, you can find me on the Rebel HQ YouTube channel. I do 4 videos there every week. And you can also follow me on Instagram at YazK. That's YAZZZZZK. Thanks.
Always fascinating. Thank you. All right, remember, take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Take care of the planet. Remember, the truth is always indisputable.